Hi, welcome to Yael and Matt Recap Stuff. Day, whatever the day is.
Day a lot.
I hope you're enjoying
Second week.
October movie watching. A lot of people are on Instagram and Twitter are hashtagging 31 days of horror movies.
And I thought that we're spatial.
Well, they're not all doing a video recap where they sometimes argue.
So we are spatial.
But
it's
do
cool.
that.
Yeah,
make a list.
If
you are doing this, make a list. We haven't posted our list because I feel like we still might make some changes. All of your movies
but in the
are
beginning
after
of the
2000.
week, in the beginning of the week, we're gonna release all the movies that we're gonna watch in this week. By the way, if you're on Facebook right now, it's on the cover. All the this specific week.
Yes. And judging by the people that watch the videos on Facebook, you're probably not on Facebook right now. So, sorry.
What?
You have something in your tooth.
Here?
Yeah. Let me get a knife.
Ah?
Okay, it's gone.
Thank you. Thanks for being honest. That's being honest. I hate people that don't telling you. If you see someone with something in his tooth, tell them that.
Yeah.
It's very nice. Alright, so we watched the movie God told me to, which I picked from his list, and I was very curious about the title. It sounds like a fun subject to play with as a horror theme.
Well, do you know why I put it on my list?
Because of Yom Kippur.
No.
I fast because God told me to. No, I'm kidding. What?
Do you know why I put it on my list?
Why?
Because I wanted to watch it.
Because God told him to.
No, see, you thought I was going to say that. But
No, I didn't think that you're going to say that.
Okay, but you
Sorry,
said
I didn't say that.
Alright, off to a great start. We watched this. It's a movie from...
76.
Yeah. It starts out with all the titles, which I thought was kind of neat. It says everyone that's in the movie, but then it says guest starring, and a woman's name. Guest starring Deborah Raffin, which I thought was, I don't know, I've never heard of anyone guest starring in a movie. It's not like there's a series of God Told Me To sequels or anything. But it starts out in a New York day.
Which, by the way, New York in the
bustling.
70s, New York in the 70s looks really cool. I like that.
Yeah, they have a water tower.
Yeah, I'm wondering. Do you know? I looked online. Was it there in 76?
Was that water tower
Yeah.
there? I don't know. But I know it's not a very common thing to have a big silo filled with water
In the middle of the city.
anymore. But you know why they probably don't have them? Because sometimes snipers go up there and start shooting 14 people, which is how this movie began.
Yeah.
Real accurate shot from the water tower. This guy up there, Harold Gorman, that's what his name is. We learn because all these people get shot in the streets, so there's all this hysteria. Emergency vehicles can't even get in there.
Yeah, but it's hysteria of a movie from the 70s. So it's like.
Well, yeah, everyone that got shot
It's like.
fell in a very
they fell like
dramatic
really, yeah.
way. It was like drama school. The teacher says, "Okay, now fall."
Yeah.
And it's a little unintentionally comedic.
I liked it.
And then there's one rogue cop that can get there before the responders does. He's a detective that has anointed himself negotiator. It's not really a hostage negotiator since the sniper's just picking people off. I think he ran out of bullets. I don't know. I mean, he pretty much hit everyone he shot. I don't know what gun has 14 bullets, and that's it. But he's sort of laying up there. Maybe he has some more bullets because he's kind of motioning to the cop as he speaks to him on the ladder. The cop's name is Peter Nicholas. He's a detective. And he tries to go up and talk to him, and he calmly asks him...
I thought about that, like, terror attack of, like, someone is just killing 14 people with a gun in the middle of nowhere, like, just in New York, like, I thought it's
wasn't
like
really
something
the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's the middle of somewhere, but
You ever go to the Sticks, New York City, middle of nowhere, just millions of people living there
I don't mean like
on their farms with their water towers.
I don't mean like the middle of nowhere, like a desert. I mean, like the situation came out of nowhere, like just a random guy killing people, and it's a very American thing till today. And the time that people stop him is still extremely too long.
The time people stop him is
the shooter.
extremely too long.
Yeah, the time till is killing so many people. From the moment that he starts shooting till the moment that someone is stopping him is way too long.
What do you think? An officer on the street could shoot up there with his handgun to the top of a skyscraper?
They should try.
Okay, well, whatever.
I don't know why.
I think that's a moot point, because if a guy has a gun and he starts shooting people, and you argue that he wasn't stopped before he finished shooting everyone, it happens in like the span of 2 minutes. So I don't really think you can fault the 1974 or 1976 New York City Police Department for not stopping his rampage earlier.
Okay.
So Peter Nicholas goes up there, asks him why he did it, and he's very coy. Old Harold Gorman is about it, and he says, "You can't tell anyone," and he's, "Well, I have to tell. It's my job." And he says, "Well, God told me to." And then he...
No, you tell him... No, it was a funny conversation, because it was like, "Tell me what made you do that?" And he was like, "I can't tell you that. Like, no, if I'm gonna tell you, okay, you're not gonna tell anyone, right?" And he was like, "I have to." And then it's like, "Okay, tell you anyway." It was like the weirdest negotiation in the world.
Yeah.
It's like a kid, like, "I don't want to tell you." Okay, tell me, okay.
Yeah, alright, you pulled my arm. So he leaps to his death after he tells him that God told me to. And Peter Nicholas seems very taken aback when he learns that God told him to do this, because we later learn that he's a very religious man. I mean, he wakes up in the very next scene, so you don't know if that's a dream he had, but then you soon find out he just keeps replaying it in his mind. It happened some days before, and he can't figure it out. He says that it was an old rifle, the scope wasn't properly calibrated. How was he such a good shot? And he's telling this all to his girlfriend. And then
there was another thing when he went upstairs to the water tower to talk with this guy. So before he went upstairs...
It's not really upstairs. He climbs up a ladder.
Yeah, okay.
It's not a 2-floor...
That's the thing. But
he was in the water part for a while, then he went upstairs to talk to the guy.
Before he did that, before he climbed the ladder, he took his jacket off and his tie off, like, very dramatically. It's like, "I'm gonna do that," and then I was like, I didn't understand, like, don't be too fancy to talk to that shooter.
Well, yeah, you don't want him to think you're an uptight suit. Shot a lot of guys in suits, you know? Maybe the tie is what pissed him off.
Maybe, yeah.
So he's telling all this to his girlfriend, and then he has to go meet his wife that he is separated from. And we learn that, you know, he talks to his wife about how he sneaks off to Mass every morning and gives him some guilt about it. And he's trying to hide the fact that he's a very religious person from his girlfriend. And I think that's why they don't want to get a divorce, because it's against God. You know, the Catholics used to be very anti-divorce. That's why I think it was Henry VIII just kept killing his wives instead of divorcing them, and he had a bunch of wives, none which could bring him a son. That's just a little history fun fact. Not fun fact.
Very fun.
Loophole, divorce loophole. So then the next scene we see, a very subtle, he's in a church, big Jesus statue, and above it was like a money sign. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. So there's a money sign over Jesus. I don't know if that's a little built in. Oh, and by the way, because this is an old movie and it has all the credits in it, usually when you see a movie nowadays, at the end, it says all these characters are fictional, any basis in real life is strictly coincidental. So does that mean that this movie is telling us there is no God? I think it is. So, I think so. I think we just learned that. He goes to the church, he's praying. He goes to the office. He finds out someone just stabbed a bunch of people at a supermarket and also said God told him to, then cut their throat. And then we got an anonymous caller in a business suit saying it will happen again because he willed it to be. And then he hangs up. And there's going to be a parade, and that's when
he tells them on the phone that they're going to be shooting, 5 people are going to die, that suit guy.
And he says one of them will be a cop.
No, he says that the guy that's going to shoot is going to be one of yours, it's going to be a cop.
No, he didn't say the
Do you
cop... Yeah, okay, he said one of the people is going to die.
He said 5 people are going to die, the shooter is going to be one of yours, it's going to be a cop.
Okay, I disagree
You can watch
with
it
that.
again. No?
But,
No, I want to... Let's pause it, let's watch it again.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So...
I'm always right.
Then the most exciting movie moment
for
for me is one of the police officers marching in the parade is Andy Kaufman.
Which, I don't know if you know, but that was his first movie cast appearance.
So I'm a huge Andy Kaufman fan. I knew
Show them your tattoo. Show them your tattoo.
I have a tattoo of Tony Clifton on my arm.
Show them. Now they want to see that.
If they're listening, they can't see my tattoo.
Yeah, but if they're watching, they can.
Okay, if you're watching, this is my Tony Clifton tattoo.
Because it's not a little tattoo, it's a huge one on the arm. I'm a big Hanson. It's Nirvana.
Okay, that has nothing to do with anything. So, Tony Clifton is not in the movie, but Andy Kaufman is. Andy Kaufman famously starred in a movie called Heart Beeps about robots that fall in love with each other. There was a huge bomb, and he never got to make the Tony Clifton story. And that's the only movie that I knew that Andy Kaufman was in, so I was very surprised to see him in this. So he's marching through the parade, and then Andy Kaufman is the guy that starts shooting people, shoots 5 people.
As a cop.
Then he gets shot, killed, but as he's dying, he says the famous line,
God told me to!
Yeah, that's a great Andy Kaufman impression. It's exactly it.
He was old.
God told me to. Thank you very much. That's what he says. And then they start interviewing the friends. Peter starts interviewing friends of the people that killed people in all these stories.
I have a question about Andy Kaufman. Was he famous already in 76?
Oh, he'd already been on 75. He made his first appearance on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, okay.
So he was pretty big.
Okay.
So it was kind of a good get to get him on there. But he was just starting out, he was just blowing up. But he was already a regular at the big comedy clubs and probably touring colleges. But I've read several books about Andy Kaufman's life, and never, unless I just completely glossed over it, did I ever read anything about him being in this movie. It's probably only one day of shooting, literally. But
and another fun fact: they didn't have a permit to shoot in the parade, but they did it anyway.
Wow.
Cool. Yeah.
Let's see if we could just casually stage a shooting
in
the middle of this parade. And there's also a funny line where Peter's trying to get them.
It's the Irish parade.
It's the St. Patrick's Day parade, and Peter's trying to get them to cancel it, and one of the guys says, "We can't cancel it. The Irish have been waiting all year for this." Which was just.
How are you gonna celebrate your Irish parade?
Yeah, what are they gonna do? Sit around and wait another 365 days?
And drink beers?
Yeah. So they're
an Irish bar.
They do interviews with the friends of the people that were killers, and they ask if they were speaking to anyone in the days prior. The cop is the first one to get interviewed that was friends with Andy Kaufman's character. And they said he was talking with a blonde, long-haired kid on the train.
When he said kid, I thought he was gonna be like a kid. But no, he's talking about like
I thought
a 20-something
he meant like a young person, you know.
I don't know. I didn't.
My first thought was Jesus. I mean, they tend to kind of allude to that. And then I might have dozed off for a little bit, and then you got very upset, threatened to stop watching the movie. So my next note is just, he gets tackled down the stairs by Mrs. Phillips.
Oh no!
Cut on his hand.
Wow, you dozed off a lot.
Okay,
so he was
talking
fill
me in. Recap it.
He was talking to his to the first shooter moms again, and she told him that also that he was talking with
Okay, I
he had
remember
a
that
friend that like, and then she said Phillips, and that Phillips used to walk barefoot in New York City, and she said like every person that would walk in New York City barefoot is insane.
Especially back in the 70s.
Yeah.
This is when there was more cum on the ground. Times Square hadn't been Disneyified yet.
Oh my god. I used to walk barefoot in my neighborhood in Tel Aviv once in a while.
Yeah, well, you have all dirt
Disgusting.
roads.
Tel Aviv is older than New York City.
No.
Yes.
Okay. Read.
Israel
Keep reading.
is way
People
older
have got
than everywhere
their
else.
Israel update for this.
Hey,
episode.
Israel is in that movie, Mr.
All right.
Dozing
We've
Off.
already spoken about Chef Kit and. Okay, keep going. Talking to
No,
his
you
mom,
can-
she has a friend.
He decides to go to find him. There is that oh, but it was after that.
But he's not there, his mom is there.
Yeah. No, it's yeah.
Yeah.
Is his mom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because then they do the
Yeah. Listen.
autopsy on her.
Yeah, she was virgin.
They said in the autopsy that she was a virgin and she had a cesarean section birth, which is like a weird thing. I don't think that they put that in an autopsy. Has had sex before, if they're not a virgin. And then they said that the child had no gender, but they just started to call it a boy.
Yeah, she decided it's gonna be a boy, so it was a boy.
Yeah, and then we flash back to, well, no, he goes and talks to his buddy that repairs Vespa scooters, who refers to him to some other guy who has a flashback about picking up his hitchhiker, who turns out to be this woman.
Yeah.
They knew each other. And it's, especially in this day and age, where
That was a
everyone's
cool
saying
thing.
you should believe women. He picks up this naked hitchhiker who is obviously in distress. And
She was pretty calm about what happened. She was like
Okay.
naked. She was naked. She got into the car.
pretty urgently, though. She didn't casually like hitchhike. She needed help.
Yeah.
She was disoriented because it happened in New Jersey. And the last thing that she remembered was an hour
She was
ago.
walking in
she
a
was-
Nantucket.
Yeah, Nantucket, which is an
Massachusetts.
island in Massachusetts. And she got picked up. Sounds very UFO-y. Gently stripped. And then artificially inseminated. They believe she was artificially inseminated. And so he goes... And then I might have done stuff again because I don't know how he got suspended. The cop got suspended from the police force.
I said that it's like taking it too serious that God told me to thing, and it's like
Yeah, they don't
And
want to
then
rile
he's
up the
trying-
Catholics. They've already
So,
nearly
yeah.
ruined the Irish's day.
so.
this
Then
footage.
he goes. What was that? Where did I write that? Oh, all right. So there was a moment that he's going to. It was before or after. I don't remember. Yeah, there's a moment that he's going to the newspaper.
Yeah. Okay, so it must have been
So
a short
you probably
scene.
didn't notice, but apparently I wrote it down after that because it was on the trivia, and it kind of like made it like more.
Oh, you're
clear.
gonna say I didn't notice something that you also didn't notice because you read it on IMDb?
No,
after?
no, I noticed something, and then IMDb made it clear, like because I was like, what is that? So behind the guy that works for the newspaper company, there was a giant Israel map, a map of Israel,
Yeah.
a big one. Then in the beginning I was like, why? It doesn't like. The producer last name is Cohen, so I was like, maybe it's, I don't know, I have no idea why. But then at the trivia they said that the newspaper scene took place in the Jewish press in Brooklyn.
Okay, so like
So that's
he's been
probably
rejected by all the reputable newspapers.
Yeah, so his only chance is like, let's go to try to
Yeah,
convince.
this is. Can you print this in the handout that they give you on Shabbat
Yeah.
before the grocery store closes at 4 p.m.
Good.
And then we'll tie this weird thing
My
to your arm.
Jew boy.
Yeah. So he goes to the newspaper and he doesn't want to print anything at first. And then he said that the reporter once got in trouble because he printed a story about God being an ancient astronaut. And then they eventually print the story anyway. It's kind of like buried in the front of the page about how God was coaching snipers, and then it causes mass hysteria, riots in the street. People are very upset that God is an accomplice in these random shootings. And the police officers start interviewing his girlfriend, Peter's girlfriend, about his erratic behavior, about why he's doing this, and it's a bunch of white guys asking her questions, which is another thing that's tied into the news this month. And then we see some more stuff, like a drug dealer is upset with one of the cops that looks like Steve Harvey's dad, you pointed out. Because
I think that every black, tall guy with a big mustache would look like Steve Harvey.
Yeah. So he's upset because this cop, who's a crooked cop, has been taking money from the guy, arrested some of his bagmen. And so he stabs him in a stairwell and writes God in blood.
Yeah, but before that he stabbed him like a few times in the back, and then you can see the back of him, and he had nothing. No blood, no holes in the shirt.
Yeah, well, thank you, IMDb. So he stabs him a bunch of
Why
times.
IMDb? I saw that.
Alright. Peter says that...
Why did you say that?
Because I thought that's what you were bringing up, one of those...
No, I saw that. That's why I wrote it.
Alright, well, okay.
I read only at the end, and I'm saying if it's an IMDb fact.
Okay. Good. Cite your work. So Peter says it doesn't
People
fit
are working here.
It doesn't fit the MO of the person killing him, killing the people. He waits with the victims, and he tells them, God told me to. And then we see a different boardroom of white people, and one of the people in there is the guy that made the anonymous phone call before the parade, and it's a bunch of people talking about how God is displeased that someone leaked the information to the police and wants the detective that threatens his plan to join their group. So Peter gets picked up by one of these mysterious men, brought to a building, and then he goes up there alone to talk to him about how God reached inside their minds.
The suit guy tried to kill him and push him in the train.
No, this hasn't happened yet. Peter gets brought up to talk to the main guy first, before that. Before the suit guy.
Who's the main guy?
The guy that dies in the office.
Oh, okay, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I'm not good with the names.
So he hasn't met the guy that confessed yet. So he gets picked up and brought to this place. I don't know, Peter just gets in the car. Maybe he thinks it's a higher up from internal affairs for the police department or something. And so the guy explains to him how God reached inside all of their minds and told them to all gather there.
There are a lot of dialogues in the movie.
Yeah, Peter talks about the living
And a lot
God.
of things are happening.
Then Peter brings up the living God's mother, the woman who had died a virgin with the C-section. And then the guy just starts to convulse. And then he dies. And then Peter yells, "Kill me!"
Yeah, I didn't understand that either.
Yeah. I mean, Peter's
He didn't
he's a
feel
man.
like-
He goes secretly to church behind his girlfriend's back after trying to have morning sex with his girlfriend. He goes to church every day. So he's having a crisis of faith as well as a crisis of his job. And he saw a man kill himself after blaming God first to start all this hysteria. So now he doesn't know what to do. So he leaves the place, and that's where the informant, the guy that made the phone call, follows him in the subway, tries to push him onto the train, which is weird because we thought he was trying to recruit him, but apparently God changed his mind because this guy, whose name is Logan, tells him that God forgave him for snitching, gave him one last chance, and the last chance was to kill him, I guess. And so he's like, well, you gotta bring me somewhere. So he brings him to the main building, but he says God doesn't like to meet upstairs. He likes to meet down in the furnace room where it's warm.
Yeah, so on that point I was like, okay, it's gonna meet God. And then I was like, maybe God is just like a name of a creepy guy. And I was wondering, can you call your son God? Or your daughter?
I don't know, probably.
Really? You think like...
Yeah, but I thought it was being.
Like,
I thought
I know
it was
you
the
can...
devil
You
because
can
he's.
call your son Jesus. Like Jesus.
Yeah.
I know one.
I don't
Jesus.
know. I mean, I don't know what the names of the rules of naming babies are. I know there
I
was
wanna call
some couple in Austria or something tried to name their kid Metallica, and the Austrian government wouldn't allow it or something. But
What?
there's a lot of people with stupid names out there. So God.
But God, like, it sounds like something that people would try to do. And I've never
I don't know
heard
why they would
anything
try
about
to
it.
do it.
I'm gonna check that.
Okay. Let's look.
Tomorrow we're gonna have an answer if you can call your son God or not.
Yes. Can
I'm
I?
gonna call the government today.
Right.
2:18 when they're gonna send us the message. From
Yeah, so we're also recording this on the day that the 45th President of the United States is supposed to text everyone
You
that
can
has a
say
cell
Voldemort.
phone in America some bullshit, probably about Kavanaugh, maybe making fun of a sexual assault victim or a disabled person. That's what I'm guessing. It's going to be a
Or
GIF.
gays.
It's just going to be a
Or the
GIF.
gay community. Yeah, a gif of like...
Yeah.
I made a gif of like... If you're listening to it, and just... How would you describe that?
She's doing a very funny GIF impression. If you're listening to this, just imagine the funniest GIF you've ever seen, and that's it. So they go down to the basement, the furnace room. That's why I thought they were meeting the devil, because he says he likes it down there. It's warm, and so he goes down there and to talk to this glowing figure, and then Logan just drops him off, and then goes back in the elevator, which is open. It's like a crazy industrial elevator, and then just sticks his head out, so it gets chopped off as it goes up to the next floor. Talks to the glowing.
God told him to.
The glowing figure, who is the son of the virgin birth, with no gender, and it's maybe the first representation of a trans person in a movie. And I'm not saying that as a joke.
But it wasn't transgender.
It was
It
no
had
gender.
a vagina.
Okay, well, let's get to that. We're working towards that.
And we saw that.
Okay.
There are a lot of like nude in the movie.
Yeah,
And
jumping way
vaginas,
ahead.
like very like with all the details, vagina.
Yeah.
And moving. With something in it.
So kids, if you're going to the video store in Bend, Oregon this weekend, the only Blockbuster that is still open in the United States, and you want to see a fake vagina in a movie that's not sexy at all, this is the one to rent. God told me to. I just
Vagina
thought that
from 76, that's how they looked back then.
No, they
Yeah?
were covered in bush. So he talks.
Maybe it's a girl's vagina.
The guy tells him to accept him, no questions. Tries to get him to go into the fire. The place begins to burn down around him. The next thing we know,
I like that part. It's like they shooting the room. There's like few little fires on the floor, and he's like going upstairs, and then they cut and a huge fire. But just like the fire, you don't see like where it is, but you can see like waves of fire, and then back to the room, and you still see like the few lame little fires on the floor.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this happens like in the we haven't even got to the vagina part because this is not even for another bunch of scenes.
I know.
So.
But you're almost on 30 minutes.
So
already.
Peter leaves this, and then he goes talking to an old lady, who makes a complaint to an officer who nobody believes, and ends with her wanting to be. I can't read my writing. That's how you know I was sleepy.
Yeah, that's how.
Not wanting her to be tamed. Also, his girlfriend gets to meet his wife.
Yeah.
Peter goes missing. His girlfriend goes to his wife's house, and then Peter shows up. The wife tells the girlfriend about the fact that she had 3 miscarriages, and Peter then goes to confront the pimp that killed Detective Jordan after doing a little research, talking to some prostitutes on the street that were not very happy because this pimp never pays them. The pimp tries to stab Peter, but misses over and over again. Very similar to Oculus.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I just wrote it.
When
It's
they're
like
trying
the
to
mirror
smash the
of
mirror.
Oculus.
Yeah, because God is protecting Peter. I guess this is a trial run. And then God makes him cut his own throat. The pimp cuts his own throat. And then Peter very daintily runs away. I thought he had a very funny run.
Yeah, it was like kind of a weird.
So he goes up to the
Tense.
building to confront the glowing figure that is now up in some other apartment building.
Did you talk about his mom? When he went to see his mom?
Peter went to see his mom?
Oh my god.
I didn't write it down, but...
You were asleep probably.
Okay, then
he went,
fill
he
us
went
in.
To, okay, so we went to an old people house, how do you call it?
No, I saw that. He goes to an old folks' home.
Old folks home.
Yeah.
That's what I said, but instead of people, he said folks.
Yeah, they're not
Anyway.
people, they're folks.
Yeah.
When you become older, you're very folksy.
Anyway, went upstairs and he started talking with that lady and she was like, oh, that's you. Because she's explaining him that one day she came back home and she told her dad, like her dad was very mad because she just was pregnant, but she explained them that she's a virgin and the aliens took her and there was like a light around her and then you see a vagina. And they put like Peter in her vagina. And that's what we see. And then she's giving birth and they took the baby away to a Catholic family.
Catholic.
Catholic.
Catholic?
כן, קתולית. משפחה קתולית. קתולית.
Yeah. Sounds like colonic when you say it like that.
קתולית.
Alright.
So,
Yeah.
he grew up in a Catholic family.
So that's why he's so religious. That's why he's so
Yeah.
religious and ashamed of his religion. Yeah.
Are you ashamed of your religion?
Fuck yes. The Catholics have like the worst sex scandal in history.
Oh, really? I don't know. I didn't know a lot
Okay,
of
alright, man. We gotta do some bonus
Christian
episodes where you know
About
we
me
watch
learning
O.J.
about-
Simpson, what's presently happening in the news, and the Catholic.
So they're all
priest scandal.
Catholics?
It's hard
For
to
me,
make-
they're all Christians. I don't know.
Yeah, it's different.
Like, I'm just Jewish. We don't...
Right.
Yeah, so anyway, so...
And I believe, after
mom-
watching this movie, that there is no God because any resemblance to characters in real life is purely coincidental.
Okay. Anyway, so his mom is like, go away from me, go away, I don't want you, blah, blah, blah. So he's running, and people are like, don't touch me. He's trying to hug her. It's like, okay, you're still my mom. And he's running away, and then that's where he's going to meet the other god.
The glowing figure.
The glowing god. He's kind of a god too, because it's like...
Yeah.
So we have two messiahs.
Trans Jesus.
Two trans Jesus.
Yeah. Who tells people to kill people and give him credit. And so he, the god says that Peter willed his children to die, but that he could bear his child and start a new species.
Mm-hmm.
And then he rips open his shirt.
And he has a vagina
Like-
on his belly.
Yeah, it's like on his
Like-
chest.
It's like
Did,
here.
did you ever see the music video for R.E.M. Losing My Religion? That's me in the corner.
Yeah, I know the song. I don't think they watched the video. I
Okay.
probably did.
Well, there's a part that always disturbed me as a kid, where there's an old man angel that has like a weird pocket in his skin. It's like an upside down pocket on his bare skin, and then like the creepy guy in the video is like fingering his pocket.
Oh my god. We're
So-
gonna watch that and recap the video.
So that's what it kind of reminded me of.
Okay.
And so Peter slaps
Yeah, but his
him.
vagina moved. It was like...
It's pulsating. And so Peter slaps him, he chokes him, and then the god is trying to protect Peter from killing him.
No,
So-
no. It was like that. He slapped him, and then God was like, ah!
Yeah.
It was a very funny scream.
Yeah, Peter's like, oh, you've never felt pain before.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to protect himself. So he's causing the rubble from this shaky, shitty apartment to fall on Peter to try to get him off
Which
him.
probably that shitty apartment someone is paying right now $4,000 per month
Maybe.
to live there.
And so it's just burning and it causes a huge fire. And then the next thing you know, you see Peter getting taken away in handcuffs, led into a courtroom. And you always see famous scenes in movies where someone's climbing courtroom steps and all the reporters surround him and they're like, hey, what do you have to say to yourself? Blah, blah, blah. And they never say anything. They usually hide their face or no comments or just get rushed through. And he actually talks to them. Yes, I'll answer your question. And they said, why did you burn that building down? And he just says,
God told me to.
yes, in a thick Israeli accent.
Yes.
And
God told me to. Yalla.
yeah. And that's the movie. So apparently, aside from
I love that movie.
the two parts of the ride, I kind of dozed a little bit. We watched
Oh,
it about 2 hours later than we wanted to because she was uploading previous episodes.
Okay, we're already 36 minutes. I don't want to keep
we're
them
ending it soon.
tired now.
It was good. Recommend it. Find it on Amazon.
Yeah, I like that movie. And I have to say that he broke the other guy's ribs when he CPR'd him. When he did that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in real life he broke his rib.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to explain them, like what scene I'm talking about? Stop.
CPR. No, it doesn't matter. A guy got hurt because he didn't know how to properly do CPR and he broke ribs.
Yeah. And that's it. That's my special editions. Yeah, I told you. I have also like the Brooklyn newspaper and the not permit for the parade.
Yeah, the not permit. Well, we had a not permit to shoot.
Yeah?
It's different than a permit.
Yeah. It's still a permit though.
Yeah, so this is a good old 80s movie and
76.
70s movie.
Yeah,
Andy Kaufman's greatest film. And although if you could still find the script for the Tony Clifton movie online, read that. It's good. But thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Subscribe, like.
Our new Instagram friends, 31 Days of Horror Movies. Or hashtag 31 Days of Halloween Movies, 31 Days of Scary Movies. I try to look it all up. Post your list. Tell us what changes we should make to our list.
Yeah.
Because
we have any idea
could make some changes. Yeah. I like watching old movies. All the movies you picked are from the 2000s.
Yes.
They're not old.
And we are busy right now.
Oh, we just put up Halloween decorations.
Yeah, do you want to show them?
We'll do them next time.
Alright, we're gonna show it now.
Okay, bye.
Alright. You probably can see that probably, but beware. Bye! Happy Halloween almost. Don't get mad.